Hey folks, welcome back to DemonView, and today we're going to be diving into the world of cinematic GoPro footage using the brand new GoPro Anamorphic Lens for the Hero 13. That's right, it's time to talk about cinematic contrast, creamy colors, crispy corners, curvy compositions, and classy, clean, cleverly crafted camera content. Now, there's been a few reviews of this lens out there, but let's face it, some really stunning footage has been made available. But here's the twist. Those videos were created usually by professional creators with Hollywood-grade editing workflows. We're talking LUTs, post-processing, sharpening, denoising, dewarping, and probably sacrificing a lens or camera or two during the creation process. However, here's one thing that's kinda isn't mentioned in any of those reviews, and that, simply put, is what results you will get out of this lens, the average user. The ones who do not or even know how to do that type of footage processing. Maybe you're just using basic drag and drop editors, maybe you're just making some quick clips on your phone during your lunch break. And that's the point of this review, to show what the everyday average filmmaker will get out of using this new lens, and whether or not it's worth a purchase in my opinion. So I'm going to be filming my own review, but without any of the usual Hollywood wizardry. No LUTs, no post-processing, no color grading, no enhancing, just footage straight from the camera as is. We're putting the new Anamorphic Lens for the Hero 13 to the test, and we're going to be doing it in a way that you, the everyday user, might actually shoot. And because we like to go that extra mile, and because I have more cameras than sense, I'll also be comparing like 3 different setups. The Hero 13 with the Anamorphic Lens in ultra-wide mode, the Hero 13 with the Anamorphic Lens in ultra-linear, and the GoPro Hero 12 using the Max Lens Mod 2.0. So it's time to sit back, relax, and enjoy. This is DemonView. Hi folks, welcome back to the channel. I do appreciate you tuning in. So for our first test, we're creating a driving video, and I'm going to be mounting the cameras on the outside of the DemonView Drivesmobile. Our test setup, simple. I've mounted each camera to the DemonView Drivesmobile using a rare earth magnetic mount, and that's because suction cups are the frenemies of action footage. One minute they love you, and the next minute they yeet your $500 camera into traffic. Here's actual footage of somebody trying to avoid a camera that fell off a car in traffic, and they were unsuccessful. Please don't be that person. If mounting your camera on the outside of your car, always use a magnetic mount. Now, all cameras were set up to the same resolution, 5.3K, 30 frames per second frame rate, and the Pro Tune settings were the same: high bitrate, GoPro Color, Hyper Smooth set to its lowest setting because we're not driving off-road over rough terrain, no ND filters, no image tweaks. We're testing these the way most people are going to use them. Pull it out of the box, slap the battery in, slap an SD card in it, hit record after you put that cinematic lens on. So, let's take a look at some of the driving footage. So for this drive, we took a quick trip over the St. John's Bridge here in Portland, Oregon. Famous for its design, potholes at either end, and headache-inducing traffic jams, the St. John's Bridge is an iconic landmark for visitors and a giant pain in the ass for those of us who actually live here. If you're not dodging cyclists, you're dodging some Instagram influencer who's decided to lie down in the middle of the road to get that artistic "I'm about to be turned into hamburger after being run over by an 18-wheeler" shot. Yes, folks, it's true. To the footage and the first test. This here is the Hero 13 with the ultra-wide anamorphic lens view. And if you ask me, that delivers a super kind of classic stretched field of view that's really immersive and super clear. You do get some pleasing but not overbearing lens flare too. And by that I mean like the lens flare, it's present but it's tasteful. Like getting the right amount of garlic in a pasta dish, although most Portlanders don't know what that tastes like and go around putting whole garlic cloves in their pasta. If you want to become a millionaire, come to Portland, sell breath mints. Now, my only complaint about this is the very edges. As you can see, there is some stretching with those horizontal lines, and you may want to kind of crop in to remove those. But since the camera is recording in 5.3K, you do have the resolution to allow for that. However, this stretching is only really noticeable in moving video. When you're filming from a static perspective, it can actually add to the wideness of the shot. Now, this isn't a fault of the lens or even what I would consider a distortion really, it's more about the aesthetic and what you want to get from the shot. For the next test, I used the Hero 13 with the ultra linear setting, and you still get an amazing widescreen look. And it's kind of that's still the same kind of pleasing but not overdone lens flare, and you still get that sense of immersion, but the image is a little narrower. Now, this means you don't get those distortions on the edge like you do with the ultra-wide lens. However, this is because the camera is carrying out a bit more processing on the image, so if you look very closely, you do get some slight chromatic aberrations visible on distant objects. Although, to be truthful, you probably didn't even notice that until I pointed it out. You also get this kind of lengthened version of objects on the edges where the images seems to kind of stretch out a bit. Again, I wouldn't consider that a distortion, but an aesthetic. Imagine filming a video where you're skiing or racing a car or a motorbike. That sense of stretching is actually going to add to the sense of immense speed, and it's really going to look fantastic. So for me, when deciding between those two modes, it's not a case of which one looks better. It's more about which look do you want from your shot. And that's actually very useful because it allows for some great creative decisions when filmmaking. And then finally, we have the Hero 12 with the Max Lens Mod 2.0. Solid, smooth, and wide, but without that distinctive anamorphic feel. Honestly, the Max Lens Mod 2.0 is my least used accessory. I very rarely use it as I didn't feel I had much use for it, and now I'm thinking that was a mistake. Looking at the image I got out of this compared to the anamorphic lens, I mean, wow, it's actually pretty amazing. And while I might not have those horizontal lens flares, I did manage to get round ones in a few shots. I mean, this image is amazing, and it didn't seem to have as much visual distortion as the anamorphic lens. I can't figure out why I haven't been using this lens more. I think it's actually pretty amazing. So for me, using an anamorphic lens does come with some pros and cons. Let's take a look at the pros. First of all, that widescreen magic, one lens, multiple cinematic looks. It's like owning a full film crew, but cheaper and without all that craft services complaints. It really does turn your camera into a cinematic filmmaking powerhouse. Number two, you got a flare for flare. Horizontal lens flare gives you that Spielberg sparkle. Not overpowering, not J.J. Abrams, just a chef's kiss of flare. And it's a good looking chef, not a sweaty chef in a dirty apron who's displaying so much arse crack he could be confused for a plumber. Number three, built-in de-squeeze. Unlike using third-party lenses, the GoPro Hero 13 handles everything internally. No fiddling with editing software just to make the footage look right. Film, upload, a simple two-step cinematic process. Number four, straight out of camera stunning. Now, what you saw today, no post-production, no color grading, no LUTs, and it looks fantastic. The morning was kind of hazy, so it wasn't even the brightest of sunshine, and yet the footage is crisp, clean, and amazing looking. So honestly, in my opinion, there are some amazing pros there, but let's take a look at the cons, which even I have to admit, aren't exactly deal breakers. Okay, so kind of con number one. You might be tempted to think I can film everything in widescreen now with these lenses, and that's not quite true. If your intention is to make cinematic looking video, then yes, by all means shoot in that widescreen with the anamorphic lens. But if you're just vlogging or doing product reviews where you might be using multiple cameras, then you're just going to increase your workload having to crop the footage to match, and you're going to have to stay in the middle of the shot to avoid those kind of distortions at the edge, which look great for cinematic footage, not so great for that kind of everyday shooting, I find. So yeah, it's not an everyday lens, in my opinion. It has very specific uses, and when used properly, it's going to look fantastic. Con number two, because this lens requires your camera to do more processing to perform that in-camera de-squeezing, you're kind of limited in the modes that you can use. You won't get HDR video options, you won't get burst slow motion, you won't get night lapse options, or even a time lapse option, although there is a time warp option. And having said that though, with the Hero 13 lens, you can manually select standard lens and then film with all those options if you want, but then you'll have to manually de-squeeze your footage in post, and Hyper Smooth won't be tuned to work using the anamorphic lens in standard mode. Now for me, this is kind of a hard one to call a con. I think the everyday user isn't going to be affected by any of this. They'll just film as normal using the anamorphic setting and get great results. Professional film users will just switch to standard lens options and do that processing, film however they want and do that de-squeezing in post. So yeah, again, I can't really kind of call that a con. And then number three, if you think every shot is going to have lens flare, it's not. Lens flare is created by specific conditions. For everyday users, that means you're going to want to be filming when the sun is lower on the horizon, so film in the morning or the afternoon, and you're going to get great lens flares. For professional users, not really an issue because you're probably going to use studio lighting for some shots or have like street lights or something, and you're going to know where to position the camera. So again, that's more about aesthetic, not really a con. Number four, this con is more about the Max Lens Mod 2.0 on the Hero 12. Compared to the anamorphic lens, I do think that footage looks fantastic. With some adjustment and crop, you could make that look just as cinematic. However, the Max Lens Mod resolution does cap out at 4K, that's the Max Lens Mod 2.0 on the Hero 12, so cropping in further is going to reduce that resolution. The anamorphic lens, on the other hand, has that full 5.3K resolution support, so honestly, it is the better lens to use. Then number 5, the one thing you won't have with this lens is the ability to use ND filters, as they won't fit on top of the anamorphic lens. And that makes sense. I mean, GoPro would have to make 4 different anamorphic lenses, 3 of them being ND rated with one standard one. And that would have got expensive at over $100 a pop. So I'm pretty sure some third party will offer a solution at some stage with maybe like a clip-on solution. I'm looking at you, camera butter. And pros may just like cut out some ND film and put it directly over the lens. A bit of a con, kind of. Number 6 would be no live stream support with the anamorphic lens. Now, that's hardly surprising with the amount of work that the camera has to do to squeeze in the footage in real time. And also, when you live stream, you're doing so at a significantly reduced bitrate and resolution. So honestly, that's not very cinematic, and there would be zero advantage to doing this on widescreen. So while you can't do it, again, I just don't think the inability to live stream with an anamorphic lens is much of a con. I just don't really see the point in using a cinematic lens on really substandard footage. And so we come to the main question here: would I recommend this lens? Well, honestly, yes, but for very specific cinematic uses. I don't think this is an everyday lens. You're going to have a lot more options using the standard lens for everyday shooting. However, when you've pre-planned and storyboarded something out and you want to make cinematic looking footage, you are going to want to use this lens. You're definitely going to want to have this tool in your arsenal. Quite frankly, I think it's an amazing optional mod for your GoPro, and I'm really glad I have this one. I actually can't wait for the sunny weather to move into the Pacific Northwest so I can film more with it, get more lens flares. But until then, I'll probably be lurking in the Pacific Northwest fog, capturing moody forest shots like a discount Lord of the Rings reboot. I mean, I wish I could stop doing that, but honestly, it's a bad habit to break. And just remember, folks, these tests were shot raw, no post-production, straight out of the camera. What you see is exactly what you'll get. So let me know which shot was your favorite. Drop it in the comments below. Let me know which look you preferred. I mean, are you team anamorphic, team max lens, or team standard works fine? Let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to know what you think. This is DemonView, where we shoot it for real so you can see exactly what's possible. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Until then, cheerio. Hi folks, I appreciate all the viewers who watch this channel, and I love hearing your feedback and getting your comments. And as a way to say thank you, I'm doing a giveaway, and one lucky viewer will win a DemonView goodie bag. We've got like pins here, we've got some stickers here, we've got some key rings here, we've also got the koozies. And if you want to win, just be subscribed to this channel, like this video, and comment on the video itself. And just by entering, you agree to all the competition rules, which are listed in the video description. The entry deadline will be April 30th, so you have plenty of time to leave comments on this or any of the other videos that I've actually done recently. And one lucky winner will be chosen at random to receive the DemonView goodie bag.